Welcome to the Wealth Roundtable with Sean Venable, the Wealth Mindset Motivator. Got my sidekick over here. What's your name, buddy?
Russell Simmons, as usual.
Oh my goodness.
Dwayne Venable.
Listen, we are here to redefine the meaning of wealth. We know it's so much more than the tangible, right? It's a mindset, it's the way you think, it's the way you believe, it's the way you are going to achieve because you are thinking from a place of an abundance. And so we are so excited. We have one of our super duper friends here with us, Miss Kenya Campbell, our wealth mindset motivator, champion, and friend. She is actually our momentum motivator. And so, without further ado, I want to allow Kenya to introduce herself by way of who she is, what she does, how she adds value. And why do we bring you here, Kenya? Let's go.
Thank you so much, Sean and Dwayne. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I am Kenya Campbell, your momentum motivator, and I help you move forward by figuring out those one step at a times you need to build the momentum necessary to accomplish all of your goals. I'm also a marriage and family therapist resident where I work with people in their healing journey to get them to a place of wholeness. Again, I'm really excited about joining you today as we talk about wealth and we really expand what that is.
Kenya, we absolutely love it. Listen, I'll let Dwayne ask the first question. So I'm going to turn it over to my Russell.
So I guess you said a lot as far as what you do, and so what was your biggest motivator for you to get started down this journey? Like what really motivated you to get started?
Okay, we'll go back and kind of start at the beginning because I think the beginning is necessary to understand the journey. I started my career as a probation officer, worked as a probation officer for 18 and a half years, not a small time, but really dug my heels in. And towards the end of my career, I was also a youth pastor. And God was really kind of pushing me to, in my career, transition and work with the next generation. Um, I was not like eager to do so, but at the end of the day, I'm always yielded to what God is wanting for me. So, in that, I worked as a placement probation officer where my kids were in residential facilities all over the country. Really, some of the most difficult cases, cases that, had they been adults, maybe would have landed them in DOC, some on death row. So, really kind of serious. But during that time, God opened me up and allowed me to see them how He saw them and really tap into what His heart was for them. And so, in doing that work, I started to love it. My husband, much to my dismay, I was always trying to bring kids home. I was like, babe, they just need to be loved. And I know we can do it. And he was like, no, ma'am. So, but it was really a good experience until I had a kid come out of placement, come in for his follow-up appointment and sat across the desk from me. And remember, these are really kind of some hardcore, have grown up in some difficult situations where sitting and crying is not something you're going to often find them doing. But he really began to like break down. And I was like, what's going on? And he just began to share. He's like, you told me this could be different. Like all the work we did, those months I was away, all of the time we put in, you told me it could get better, it could be better, it could be different. He said, and then you sent me home, and home was not different, and home was not better. And so it really kind of touched this place in me that really broke something. I wanted to cry with him. I was distraught. And so I just kind of went home and I was like, God, what are we doing here? Because at the end of the day, if we are not impacting and transforming lives, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so he led me to leave that position and transition into a place of social work where I kind of flipped sides and was on the other side of working with the families, and got to work and touch with every piece of the family. Really enjoyed it, working with the parents, doing some parent education, some advocacy within the educational systems. That's really one of my hot topics. Is education. And so able to do that kind of work, but I still wasn't seeing the transformation that I wanted to see. Like social work is needed, but it's designed to help you navigate systems. And so I wanted to be a part of whatever was going to eliminate the need for the system. So God led me into therapy as a marriage and family therapist, where now I can kind of join the family from a place of saying, what needs to be healed and how can I help you on the journey to healing so you are not only your best you, but those systems that have been in operation in your life you no longer need. And now you get to be the person that is a place of resource in your community. So, long story short, long journey to where I am today, but I'm absolutely loving the journey and loving that I have the opportunity to serve my community and God's people in this way.
Kenya, that was so, so good. It was so rich. And I love the examples that you shared and how God pivoted you to make a greater impact when there was a need for more. My question for you now is from a mental health standpoint, sometimes in underserved communities, that terminology, mental health, is taboo. So, can you help us dispel some of the myths and really talk about the importance of mental health, especially in underserved communities?
Yes, part of the issue, honestly, Sean, like there are a lot of myths, and then there's access,
Mm.
right? At some points, like underserved communities have not had access to mental health. So that's one piece of it. And then if they did have access, it's the growing up in your household, I'm sure in your household, like my household and many households across the world, in some underserved, marginalized communities, we were taught that what goes on in the home stays in the home. Like you better not take home business outside the door, right? So to sit in front of someone who typically has been from a privileged place and tell them everything that has gone on in your home was an absolute no-no. It just wasn't allowed. It wasn't permitted. It wasn't. There was this fear that what you said would be used against you, that you thought of less than. It was all of these things that have kept us silent, and unfortunately, that silence has been killing us generation by generation by generation, keeping us stuck, keeping us trapped in places we could have escaped from if one, we had the access to what we needed, and two, our community rallied and supported us entering into that place of access. So I really am on a mission to help people understand therapy is okay. It's okay to sit before someone and acknowledge that you need help because we all need help at some point. You know, we go to the doctor if we need a doctor, right? If our sugar levels are high, our blood pressure is elevated, we go see a doctor. Well, coming to see a therapist is the same thing. You just have some things you are struggling to navigate on your own, and you need the advice and counsel of someone who is skilled in that area to help you move through the journey. So thank you for that question. Really passionate about that, if you can't
I
tell.
can tell, like I heard it. I was like, "Oh, Kenya." Now I have another question for you, and I will let Russell ask some questions. I promise, right? But I'm big. So I want to really dig into the piece around the faith aspect. For a lot of people, and especially people of faith, when we go into an occupation or a career, or even entrepreneurship, I've seen where people try to separate the two. And for Dwayne and I'm like, I can't do that. My faith is who I am. So, talk to us about how you've navigated your journey of faith and counseling and coaching and motivating and like all the things that you do, Kenya.
All the things, all the things. I'm a church girl, been a church girl, always been in a place where faith is huge in my life. And so I'm a believer first that I'm a carrier of the kingdom. So when I meet with my clients, there are some whose spirituality, religion is not a part of what they want brought into the work, but the kingdom still shows up because I show up and I'm a carrier of the kingdom. So the kingdom and faith is always a part of the journey, even if it's not acknowledged. And my clients have the right as to whether or not they want to acknowledge that, and I honor that. But Kenya, when Kenya shows up, kingdom shows up. So in the church, just like in underserved communities, marginalized communities, mental health has been a taboo. It's been a place where you don't need that, you just need Jesus, right? Like it's we can pray it away, we can do some deliverance and get it away. I mean, we could go through the list of ways that the church, we can quiet it away. The church has tried to deal with mental health, but again, I go back to the example of if you're coming to your pastor saying, hey, my sugar levels are elevated, he's going to pray for you, and then he's going to direct you to your doctor so that you can schedule an appointment and they can check on that. Same thing. If you are feeling overwhelmed by what's going on in your life, if you are struggling with depression, anxiety, sadness, some people severe personality disorder, schizophrenia, multiple personalities, like, let's pray and then let's seek the help of a professional. In the church, they have been torn apart and seen as these two things that cannot exist simultaneously. And I'm coming after that. Jesus plus therapy, they can exist in the same space. You can be a faith believer, you can believe in the power of Almighty God and still seek the assistance of a therapist to help you navigate the journey to healing and wholeness. So I'm just really passionate about the fact that they can go together, really can go together any day. And so trying to get the message out, that's part of what I do, is reaching out to churches, communities, pastors, saying, hey, make space for this in your congregation, right? If it's not me, let me give you, I have a list ready of qualified therapists that I can refer you to at any time. But let's not keep losing people because we won't share Jesus and therapy. We won't let them exist together. Even now, the suicide rates among African Americans and young people in general are escalating. So we have to get the message out there. If you feel overwhelmed, there is help. Don't sit in that space. Don't fear what's on the other side of asking for help. So we have to normalize that asking. We have to normalize you saying you need help before you've written the suicide letter and it's too late. Like, it's that serious. I know that's extreme, but that's where our society is right now. And so we have to be extreme at taking them the answer. And the answer lies in not one or the other, but the both and of Jesus plus therapy.
Ooh, the both and of Jesus plus therapy. That was so good. Now, as you were talking, and Kingy, you know me, as I listen for the revelation. And there was something that just leaped for me, and it was the fact that you are amplifying your voice. You are going after the hard things. You are showing up even when it feels uncomfortable to do what needs to be done because there's a life on the other side. There are people on the other side that are waiting on you. So if you could talk to the younger Kenya or someone that was coming along that same pathway of living in purpose, right at the tip of purpose, but they were afraid to move forward, what would you tell
You were created for a purpose. Like, your being here is not by accident, that you are unique. You may not be like the next person. You may not be like the person 10 houses down, the person 2 blocks over, but you in all of your uniqueness was created for a purpose that is special, and you need to go after that purpose. Run after that purpose. What were you created to do? Who were you created to be? How were you created to bring value? How were you created to impact? Go after those things. Don't let comparison in a society where everything is like, love, heart driven on a social media app. Don't let what you see hinder you from engaging in the full on pursuit of who you are called to be, right? Not the person on the screen, not the person on the video, not the person that spent 5 hours trying to take that one shot that's on that Instagram post, right? Go after who you were created to be. Pursue that and pursue it hard.
them? Ooh. All right, so Dwayne, I'm going to let you give an opportunity because I got one more question to ask. It's so good.
So I don't really have a lot of questions. You answered a lot of the questions that I had, and because I think there is a need for one, like you said, there has to be a separation. There's a point where when you're talking to somebody, am I inspiring you or do you need help? Do you need help? Do you need some coaching or do you need some help with your mental capacity? Maybe there's something maybe you're not understanding or maybe you just need some help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. Sometimes we just have to admit that we can't pull it all together and we can't move forward without some help. Um, that is big. And I think another thing you touched on was suicide, and the suicide rate is rising. And um, it's amazing you say that because a few years ago there were two young men that I knew both at the age of 21 and committed suicide. And it really hit me because I was talking to him, and he stood at my desk, and I had a call come in, and I wasn't able to break away from him, and he left. And that was Friday, Sunday, he committed suicide. So I don't know if he was trying to reach out or if he was trying to make a connection or if he needed something, but when you see it and you recognize it, and people are reaching out to you, just take the time to make sure that you can help them get to where they need to be, because you may not be the answer, but sometimes just telling them, to look for that help is real important.
Yes.
It
So
is.
That normalizing like the need for therapy, and it's okay to get therapy, is so key in our community. It's just so key.
Hmm. All right, Kenya, I do have one real serious question for you, and then just a loaded fun question because that's who I
Okay.
am. So I did hear you say that you are coming after this thing hard, and I know for the month of May, you really want to shine light and bring awareness to mental health and getting help and seeking help and normalizing it. So tell the viewers, will you be in the month of May? What will you be doing, and how can they find you?
Yes, real passionate about this, Sean. I am doing a series in Clubhouse in the Kingdom Builders Club. Tuesdays, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, just called Jesus Plus Therapy. And we are really tapping into the myths, answering some questions. I get the question all the time, how do you find a good therapist, right? So while I don't have all the answers and I might not get you right to the perfect one right off, I can give you some tips on even my own journey in finding a therapist, and then what I offer to help people figure out if it's a good fit, because everybody's not a good fit. It's the same thing with your primary care physician, your specialist. Everybody's not the right fit. So some tips, and then my good friend Britt Knight, our friend, is going to come in and share her journey. Another thing I'm passionate about is sometimes us as African American women are, while we want to be all the things, we want to be all the things we're supposed to be, but society places on us this burden to be all of the things for everybody all the time. And so really shedding that and tapping into, what does it look like to care for the strong Black woman, and what does it mean to be the strong Black woman, not the strong Black woman that society says we have to be, because that's a really weighty burden, but the one that God says us to be. And that is that we only walk in what He's called us to be. Now, if He said these 10 things are for you, then by all means be all the 10 things, right? But if He said that these 10 things for you, but I see Miss Shawn over here doing 20, I can't pick up those extra 10 because society is saying I should be able to do it all, right? I have to know my purpose. And then I have to be okay with receiving care. We have been trained as Black women to care for everybody since we were brought into this country. Let's just be real. We came with this place of being pulled into a place of serving everyone. But now I'm saying, no, it's okay for you to care for you. And so let's talk about what it means to care for ourselves as Black African American women. What does it mean to be all the things, but only the things we are called to, and care for ourselves in the process? So I'm really excited about the conversations that are going on. I have a professor joining me towards the end of the month. I have a team of therapists that are going to come on, and we're just going to answer what your questions are. So every Tuesday in May, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time in the Kingdom Builders Club.
Ooh, I love it. All right, so the last question that we will end on, and this is a fun one, so I want you to think about it. A lot of times, and this comes down to normalizing. So a lot of times people think that mental health awareness, mental health strictly means you have to go into counseling, you have to have therapy. A lot of times it's laughing, it's releasing energy. So what does Miss Kenya Campbell do to release energy and have fun?
I am a gamer. Like, you say game, and I'm like, let's do it. Like, so I do family game nights, or like my children are now grown, bless their hearts. And but they stop by the house, and sometimes like they can't get through the door, and I'll be like, what game we gonna play? Like, let's game. So I love the game. I'm a strategist by nature. So of course gaming is a part of that. And so just enjoying in a good game. I love to cook. And so if I can play games and we can cook and eat good food, then that's even better. So, yeah.
Okay, so I have an idea. I love it. We need to have you back. It can be after May because I know you got a busy May going on. We can do mental health check in with the gaming system. We can have game night, Team Campbell against Team Venable. If you send us
Oh,
some recipes, we can cook a little something. You can cook a little something. Let's get it on.
let's do it. Let's do it. Absolutely.
Well, Miss Kenya, I love you so much. You are, again, an amazing, amazing friend of ours. I value you. I value the gift inside of you. I know you will be in Clubhouse, but tell people how else they can reach you. And then we're going to wave out to our people until next
Oh,
time.
okay. Thank you again so much for this conversation, for honoring my voice in this space, and really just your highlighting this area that needs so much attention in our society and culture. You can find me at Momentum Counseling and Coaching.co. If you're in the state of Indiana and you need a good therapist, I'm available. And then anywhere in the US and other countries, if you're looking for a coach to help you get unstuck and move you forward, then you can find me there as well. I have a couple of master classes coming up, and you'll be able to find them on my website soon. But yes, Momentum Counseling and Coaching.co.
I love it. And sign me up. Are
Yes,
men
ma'am.
welcome? Are men welcome?
They are. They are.
I thought I was going by myself.
I was trying to leave me behind.
Well, Miss Kenya, we love you to life. So we're gonna wave out now. Listen, everyone, tune in to next week again. We have some of the most amazing and brilliant minds that we will be bringing to you. So until we meet again next time, we're signing off. Bye.
Bye.
So much time.